Majo.
Hi, Doc. Good evening.
Majo.
Doc, good evening.
Good evening.
Doc, sorry for disturbing your evening. This is Moon Kaila Abdul,
Okay.
Radio Univers.
Okay, no problem.
Fantastic. Doc, we are discussing the importance of mother tongue. And in fact, it was an issue that was raised in the newspapers.
Mm-hmm.
The need for us to take the basic school by educating our kids in the mother tongue language. That can help and develop and promote and project our culture. And I know you for one, for the fact that you speak Tree very well, you study it, and there's a campaign or something that you have dear to your heart that we should take seriously. It appears now even those who speak Tree do not speak the typical Tree. What they do is to be mixing it up with the English language. So eventually our culture we are losing it. If you would agree with me on that note. So we want to just get your thoughts on that move and how you think it will be, why you think it will be proper for us as a nation to have a second look at that, if possible, formulate policies that will guide us from our curriculum to begin this.
Yeah, I can do that. Are you saying right now?
Come again.
Are you asking me to give my comments on it right now or to come in or what?
Yeah, sure. I want to get your comments on that, please.
Okay, yes.
Okay. But before that, I quickly would just connect you on air, if that's fine with you.
Oh, you're live?
No, we are not live. We are not live. I'm off air right now.
Okay.
But I would like to put you live.
Okay, no problem.
Okay. Quickly, let me just get your thoughts on that.
Begin far earlier before you enter school.
Alaji, please, I want to break into your file. My producer says that we have another resource person on the line. He's been on for quite some time now. Dr. Obadele Campbell is on the line right now. Good evening, Doc. Thanks very much for joining us on the program Behind the Headlines.
Yes, good evening. Thank you for having me.
All right. We are having a discussion here in the studio, and that has got to do with learning in our mother tongue. And there is actually a move underway between the USA and the Ghana Education Service to teach kindergarten 2 to primary 2 people how to read in their local languages. And we are of the opinion, or some of us are of the opinion, that since we study or we go about our normal educational obligations in the English language, then it would be better to channel resources to ensuring that we are better at it, since we are not even there yet when it comes to our proficiency in English language. Another school of thought, another person says, no matter how you try to speak English or be good in English, it can never be like this. So I want to find out from you your opinion on this particular matter, whether you think that it's the right direction or it's long overdue that we start to inculcate the spirit of reading in our local languages in our young people.
Yeah. I appreciate you consulting me on this. There are multiple studies that are out there that go into why it is more helpful for children to learn in their mother tongue, Indigenous language, than it is to learn in someone else's language. So there's a UNESCO 2008 report that goes into how the children's first language is optimal for literacy and learning throughout primary. And this is in terms of being able to think in that language. Kosonin 2005, that one is a publication that deals with how children are more likely to enroll and succeed if they are taught in their mother tongue. Benson 2002, the crux of that article is that our parents are more likely to communicate with teachers and participate in the child's learning process when it's going on in their own Indigenous language. Hovens 2002, just so many, Biostiok 2001, Cummins 2000, King and Mackey 2007. Our own Charles Owurie also deals with Indigenous mother tongue education. So basically all of these texts all throughout the world are saying that indigenous languages. Now, even to the point of how the English is something that we haven't mastered fully. We when we talk about our own languages, we just refer to them as local languages. Now, when you say local language, it just means that something that's around your locality is close to you, but it lacks the meaning of calling it our indigenous language. When we say it is our indigenous language, it means that which is ours, that which is intrinsic to us, indigenous. So, if we really understood even the import of the English that we are saying, we wouldn't just say, oh, these are local languages. What does that really mean? It's just something that's close around you. But when we actually even understand the English well, we'll use other terms such as our mother tongues or our indigenous tongues. I mentioned Charles Ourier, 2004. He deals with living with negative attitudes towards the L1. And there was a study that was done in 2013 by the government of Ghana, and it's very important that I share this with you. And it basically goes into the English literacy. And with this, they found that from primary 1 through 3, that you had below minimum proficiency in English for primary 1, 2, 3. So they were looking at primary 3 specifically. They were testing primary 3, and they found that 42% were below the minimum at that level. 30% were at minimum, uh, which was, on the test when they scored 35 to 55 on the test. And then only 28% were, considered to be proficient above minimum. Now, when they looked at primary 6, they found a similar thing that 31% were below the minimum, 30% were at minimum, and then 39% were proficient. So what we have is an average, and this is out of just about 20,000 students that were tested each time. So the average was 44.4% who were below minimum and 48.9%. So this is even to say when we're looking at the English language that we've taken, at least since independence, if not before, that we're not doing very well in that. Now, we had NALAP, we had other programs that were supposed to infuse the teaching of African languages, but it's something that, because of, as I mentioned, the text with Charles Owirie, that there are negative attitudes towards the L1 in Ghanaian schools. So basically, we're taught that everything that's African is bad, including our languages. When you look at religion, look at the white Jesus. What does that do to your psychology? When you look at the clothes that we wear, we say one day out of the week you're allowed to wear African clothes. That's Friday. That everything that surrounds you is telling you that white is good and black is bad. And this also has an impact, and we see this as a result with the language. So all of these things go to the core of self-love or self-hatred, and the language is just yet one other symptom or manifestation of what happens when you are taught to hate yourself. And then when you're taught to hate yourself, there's someone who gets rich off of the fact that you don't like yourself. When you don't like your own language, well, now someone is there to sell you English textbooks. When you don't like yourself, someone's there to sell you a picture of a white Jesus. When you don't like yourself, someone is there to sell you some clothes that are made from the Dutch or from America or from UK. When you don't like yourself, someone is there to sell you fake hair. So all of these things, I don't want us to look at this language piece in isolation. I want us to look at it as just one more manifestation of something that cuts across the board, right? When you don't like yourself, someone is there to sell you chemicals so that you can make your skin look like that of a pig. I hope you're following along. So this is just I am. One out of a whole, we can say, plethora of manifestations wherein when you don't love yourself, when you're taught to hate yourself, and I don't want us to miss the mark that the ones who have taught us to hate ourselves are the white people who colonized us, and they did it in so many ways. I mentioned through religion, through so-called education, which I prefer to refer to as miseducation. Right. In all of these areas, because they knew that they would get a benefit from teaching you to hate yourself, and they're benefiting to this day where, if we have a phone that's made by Ghanaians, we'll say, I don't want to buy that, I want to buy the one that's made in the U.S. If we have a car that's made by Ghanaians, we say, oh no, there aren't enough percentage of parts made in Ghana, so therefore I'm going to buy one that's made in the U.S. with a very low percentage of parts made in the U.S. The parts are coming from China, but we don't hold the U.S. one up to the same standard. But we can find 1,000 reasons not to support the one who looks like us. And in the U.S., they call it the white man's ice is colder syndrome. So the white man is selling ice, the black man is selling ice will say, no, I want to get the white man's ice. Well, it does the same thing. It will keep your drink cool, but no. The white man's ice is colder. And it's just a metaphor for the irrational explanations that we come up with just to, basically perpetuate this thing that's going on. But it started from our colonial enemies who taught us to hate ourselves so that they could get the benefits economically, psychologically, and so forth and so on.
Sure. Dr. Obadele Kambon has been very insightful speaking. We are very grateful for joining us and adding your thoughts to this particular issue.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Sure. All right. So Dr. Obadele Kambon is